Hello everyone, this is a Prime Audio series presented by PrepWay India. The Prime editorials covered from different leading newspaper. Topic is Behind the Curve, and the crux is the center must help states tide over the pandemic crisis by giving GST dues. Now going to move in detail. Meeting for the second time since the pandemic took hold in the country, the GST Council last Friday decided to relax late fees and interest payable for those taxpayers failing to file returns on time. For business with two no tax liabilities under the indirect tax regime, the late fees were completely waived. This is in line with similar relaxations announced by the center in March. Before the lockdown was declared to ease compliance deadlines for each of the small businesses, in particular since the full lockdown lasted longer than initially envisaged and only began to unwind this month. The forbearance and offer was necessary step, but given the extent of economic damage as well as the state's fiscal positions in the period between these two meetings of the council, its decisions are far from sufficient. In March, GST collections had slipped to 97,597 crore after surpassing the rupees 1 lakh crore mark over the previous 4 months, and the number for April and May will not be known before July. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has told state representatives in the council that just 45% of the indirect tax targeted had been met in the past 2 months. Although aware of the dwindling tax kitty during the lockdown, states have had their hands full managing the pandemic. It's for this reason that several states have been urging the center to extend emergency fiscal support and release past GST compensation dues insist in the pact that allowed the new tax regime to take off 3 years ago. In its stimulus package in May, the center enhanced states' power to borrow, but only part of that was completely unconditional, and a large chunk was contingent on states undertaking specified reforms. These reforms may be long pursued ideals, but whether this is the right time for prioritizing them has been questioned. GST compensation for revenue shortfalls in the first 5 years of GST due to the state for December 2019 to February 2020 was only released on June 4. Perhaps it was time to preempt discontent in the council meetings yet. Central state ties could turn more fractions, especially in the GST council where the things have usually evolved with consensus so far, thanks to the failure to finalize the way forward for paying states the compensations. One of the ideas on the table, officially discussed for around 2 months, is to raise loans against future GST says accruals in order to recompensate states. Any decision on this front, along with the proposed GST rate rationalizations in the textiles, footwear, and fertilizer sectors that were on the council agenda, can now only be expected at a special meeting in July. Procrastination is not an appropriate response at this arc of the curve, be it the pandemic or the economy. With that, in these editions, we will keep updating you. Press the subscribe button and bell icon notifications for the latest news update. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.